Gemar Hatima Tova, everyone. I hope everyone's having an easy fast and a peaceful Yom Kippur. I'm here to share a report on the state of our Shul. As you hear me say often, I'm incredibly proud and deeply honored to serve as the president of Temple Sholom. That statement is especially true now as I look back on the last 6 months and reflect on all of our accomplishments since the COVID-19 pandemic began. This highly challenging period shows something very simple and clear: that the state of our Shul is vibrant and incredibly strong. I'm uniquely poised to see every facet of our temple's strength, as reflected in the brilliant leadership of Rabbi Mitch, the incredible dedication of our Board of Trustees, the hard work and loyalty of the staff and clergy, and the support of the whole congregation at large. I saw firsthand how everyone rallied around the temple during this difficult time. I will share with you now a brief summary of how we responded to the challenges that the pandemic presented, specifically in the handling of our finances, the resumption of temple operations, and the planning of our high holiday services. When COVID first broke out, we hardly knew where this story would take us. I'm not sure we even know the ending now. We thought there would be a brief interruption of our lives and the temple's operations, a mere few weeks to a month, and then back to life as usual. Well, that was certainly not the case. The loss of revenue incurred due to the closure of our full-day nursery school program created an immediate cash flow and payroll problem, this issue directly impacting job security of our staff and faculty. We faced the challenging question of how can we operate successfully if we're mandated to be closed, suffer reduced revenue, and yet must spring back into action as soon as humanly possible. That would only be feasible if we cared for our employees and protected them during the unknown duration of the closure. To that end, Rabbi Mitch, Eileen Robin, our executive director, and I set to obtaining financial support to cover our losses, which we knew would be far greater than we could even predict. Eileen immediately researched subsidy opportunities and learned early on about the Payroll Protection Program loan from the federal government. She swiftly and adeptly secured the paperwork and our position in the queue of organizations hoping for government relief. Temple bylaws require that any transaction over $100,000 be approved by membership, and so I set to obtaining the congregation's vote of approval for this action. 2 special meetings were called in the spring, and I applaud our community for voting and participating in both. Fortunately, Temple Sholom was approved in the first round of granted loans, and we used those funds to maintain our full payroll through June 30th, while the building remained closed. Concurrently, Rabbi and I launched the Emergency Relief Fund, which so many of you generously supported. The outpouring of financial and verbal support confirmed that we were on the correct path of protecting our future and our community's stability. We didn't know the extent of the need our community would face, but we knew losses caused by COVID would have a broad scope of impact. And so we created this pool of resources to draw on during these challenging times. Meanwhile, the Temple's annual budget for the fiscal year 2020-2021, which had just been completed on March 6, had become instantly obsolete and required the budget process to be restarted. We had to predict the duration and scope of impact of the pandemic on every aspect of the Temple's finances. Conservative assumptions were made, and we hoped for a far better reality than we painted in this new budget. And yet, we were still able to balance the budget and obtain board and congregational approval for it. For this, I thank you all, especially the staff led by Eileen and the lay leaders, particularly the Finance Committee, who worked double time to make that a reality. It is also worth reminding everyone that Temple Sholom is a nonprofit organization. We are dependent on volunteer lay leaders, membership dues, and congregant donations for our survival. Having our finances managed was one piece of the puzzle, but not the whole picture. We are a community of people, and resuming weekly services, our education programs, and providing support and comfort to our congregation was another priority. Our clergy and staff had to quickly adapt and garner the ability to make our programming and ritual virtual. On July 1, we cautiously reopened the building, stringently following protocols advised by the state to help ensure everyone's health and safety, all of which was no small feat. I have to pause here to especially recognize Rabbi Mitch. There aren't sufficient words to describe your dedication, Rabbi. His unwavering commitment to providing every single member of our shul spiritual care and guidance was unparalleled. He held our hands through every possible turn of this saga. He officiated over 50 funerals during the pandemic, some of which he presided over the graveside alone. His grace and dignity gave us solace and comfort. And he also helped us to find joy and hope, because life does still carry on. He supported over 30 families in their simchas, often in the family's own backyard. Rabbi, you are an inspiration. And on behalf of everyone, and from the bottom of my heart, I want to thank you for your loving support and your incredible dedication to our congregation, which got us through to this moment. The next key challenge in the journey, and the predominant topic of our summer, was this: the high holiday services. We knew the high holidays would be a complex undertaking of precise detail and planning, and so we wasted no time in getting started. Revving the engines once again in June, we began by engaging the congregation and the Board of Trustees through surveys and focus groups to collect specific data on how to best approach the high holidays this year. I believe we arrived at the best plan possible, where there were myriad options offered, allowing every congregant to choose something within their own comfort zone. I am very proud of the tremendous accomplishments that I've just shared with you. My sincerest hope is that it translates to you all and is something to relish and take pride in. This experience shows clearly that the vitality of Temple Sholom is something to celebrate. To know that we can ensure the stability of our temple and congregation by banding together and protecting our sacred community is a deeply reassuring thought. That we can celebrate in the best of times and support each other through the worst of times is the greatest reward that we have received during this hard year. Being in this leadership position during a crisis was certainly not what I expected, but it has been an honor to serve in this capacity, and I've seen the best of our community firsthand. I know that the heart of Temple Sholom beats strong, and while these are terribly trying times, we can take comfort in knowing that if we work together to sustain Temple Sholom, it will remain a constant source of strength for us all today, as well as for the generations still to come. I thank you for your time, your meaningful support, and your loving care. May you have a good closing seal and an easy fast.